A forgotten artifact lies in pieces on a planet far from Earth. Few know it exists except those who took it back and those whose ancestors created it. 4 young people are thrown into a race against emissaries of the gods to find his pieces. Mistrust, greed, and magic are tangled in an endless web. What will the fate be of the universe once it is found and reassembled? Get Scepter of the Gods, The Rod of Truth now on Amazon, and get wrapped up in the saga that will not let you go.
Good morning and welcome to the Motivational Devotional, where we are merging motivation and spirituality to create a daily dose of confident positivity. I hope that this morning's podcast will help you to be more spiritually and positively motivated so that you can transform your day. Good morning and thank you for joining me today at the Motivational Devotional. I am Mark the Writer, and today is the 18th episode of our series, 50 Ways to Love Your Soul. I hope you've been able to follow along with this series and are finding it helpful in getting your new year going in the direction of your lifelong goals. If you know anyone who could use some encouragement in setting goals, then please share this podcast or the blog version from motivational-devotional.com. I was practically raised outdoors. Of course, our family had a home and I had a bed and we ate at a dining table, but our summer vacations were usually camping vacations. I joined Cub Scouts in the first grade, and that continued into high school in the Boy Scouts. My friends and I found most of our things to do outside and usually away from town in wooded areas, and we went hiking and biking. I grew up knowing how to fish. A couple of my uncles tried to teach me about hunting. I played tennis and golf, and my favorite time of year was summer church camp and spending time down by the lake. It was there that I also learned how to sail. One of my uncles had a ski boat, and I learned to water ski when I was 12. My parents had a summer garden, and I learned how to cultivate and fertilize the soil, plant and tend the plants, pick things when they were ready to harvest. So I come from an honest point of view when I talk about loving the outdoors. All of that carried into my adult life, and I spend as much time as I can outside, even if the weather is chilly. A high of 12 degrees like it was today, maybe not so much. At least I don't spend a lot of time, but I still love it. I love what nature does in winter, spring, summer, and especially fall. I love the spiritual meaning I find in each of the seasons, with winter being a great example of a time when we can't get much done outside, so we can be inside and deepen our roots, much like a tree does. In every religious tradition, we find parables and teachings that teach how important nature is. Jesus used nature in every parable he told. The Buddha was much the same way. I heard a teaching once about Kundalini Yoga, in which a person sits against the base of a tree and visualizes the energy from the tree beginning to flow through them, and then also to visualize roots extending from themselves down into the tree, into the ground, and around the base of the tree. The rest of that teaching gets a little complex, but my point here is mainly that it is another spiritual teaching having to do with the outdoors. In keeping with my practice of the motivational devotional, being both spiritual as well as motivational, let's not forget that in order to achieve goals, we have to grow, as do plants and trees. Motivation works in cycles, similar to the changes in the seasons and the purposes of each time of year. To move forward with new ideas, we plant seeds, and we nurture those ideas until they bear fruit. So everything we do on a spiritual journey, as well as in living a functional life, is tied to comparisons with the outdoors. I think this is why it is so renewing and invigorating to get to the outdoors and reconnect and ground with nature. So if we are intentional about it, we can choose a time and place where we can either go barefoot, sit with feet in the water, or sit on a bench, or even sit against a tree. We can take walks and hikes, maybe even bike rides to pass through the outdoors and reconnect. There is an obvious factor in that we therefore get more exercise, improve breathing, and soak up whatever vitamin D we can absorb. There is one little piece with this that ties back to yesterday's podcast about loving the unlovable. Sometimes the outdoors doesn't seem so lovable. Oh, maybe it's bad weather like a severe storm, or maybe we find ourselves in a swampy area and get stuck, or it just really smells bad. Those are opportunities to use the approach from yesterday and realize that we can't change those circumstances, but we can love them anyway. It doesn't mean we have to enjoy them, so let's not make that confusion. Loving it is not the same thing as enjoying it or condoning it. Loving the outdoors, regardless of how we like it, helps us grow. by understanding that the universe is expressed in creation in infinite ways. It isn't looking for our approval. We are, however, infinitely blessed by learning to be in communion with all of the outdoors and absorb its energy and receive whatever the universe is sharing with us through that communion. Here is one of the great ways that we experience that all of creation is conspiring in our favor. Trust that the universe always has your back. Ted Turner once said, "Rivers are places that renew our spirit, connect us with our past, and link us directly with the flow and rhythm of the natural world." Thank you for taking the time to listen today. Please help keep this podcast going by following the Motivational Devotional Facebook page, following @Threefold Way Radio on Twitter, and sharing the written format of today's message from motivational-devotional.com on your social media. I am deeply grateful for your support, and thank you for letting Motivational Devotional be part of your journey. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Motivational Devotional is a production of Threefold Way Radio, LLC.